Well, hello, hello, hello. My name is Waldo Ocasio-Cortez. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to read some of the news, um, and then probably talk about some old news, and then maybe at the end, if we have time and I'm not too hungry, we might discuss UFOs. So that's been in the news a lot lately too. So I am flying solo today. No Thomas. He is busy. He has something called a real life. I'm not entirely sure what that is or what it means, but I will just research it, try and find out what he is talking about when he discusses this real life. Because I certainly haven't got one of those. I have to find out what that means, what it is, what's going on. It is a nice cloudy day today. I love it. Hate that grotesque day star that burns your skin and gives you cancer. Sunlight will give you cancer. You guys know that? Disgusting. Disgusting. Day star. No good. Clouds. Clouds are better. So much better. So, if you are watching, if you are listening, if you are in chat, hop in. If you're not in chat, hop in there. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you're doing. I'm watching the Kick chat at the moment. Uh, Send me links to news stories. Send me links to things. I think last week somebody came in and said something about hating the left because they don't support the monarchy. I didn't know what the damn hell that meant, but he left before sending any links. I would love to see someone suggest pro-monarchy arguments. I would listen to them and laugh and laugh and laugh. It would be a good time for me. Anyway. All right. So let's dive straight into the news. Where's my main screen? There it is. I'm going to set up window capture here. We're going to watch, not that one, not that one, this one. Yes, this one. Let me stretch it to the right size. There we go. I think that'll do it. Trump Mar-a-Lago classified files case. Judge sets 20 May trial date. 20th of May. That is like 10 months from now, isn't it? It's July now, and we have to get all the way back around to 5. So yeah, May, 10 months from now. Now, that's a long time, but there's a reason for the long time, and it actually does make sense. These documents right here are classified. That means only certain people can look at them, but they are also evidence. So the people who look at the evidence, like the lawyers, like the law clerks, like the judges, like even the jury, might have to have security clearances before they see the evidence. If you're going to commit crimes, a brilliant crime, uh, the evidence can't be seen by normal people. It's very hard to convict you. Donald Trump, accidental genius, again, accidental genius. And so getting the security clearances for the lawyers, for the law clerks, for the jury is going to take some time. And that makes sense, but it's still happening in May. Let's look at the full calendar. Full calendar is down here. Very fun. 15th of January. Republican voters will begin the state-by-state process of picking their party's presidential nominee in so-called primary elections. The first one being in Iowa. Iowa, January 15th. Donald Trump is going to win. That's all there is to it, folks. He is going to win. January 15th in Iowa. That's what I'm predicting at the moment. I mean, something crazy could happen. He could get hit by a bus. Something really bad could happen with these other things. But he is, at the moment, looking like he's going to win January 15th in Iowa. He's in the lead now. Nobody can step up to him. The rest of the Republican nominees right now are just goobers who are trying to sell books like Ramaswamy or whatever his name is, and DeSantis, who again is is a goober who cannot get liked by anybody outside of Florida. I don't think he has even a slightest chance. Uh, and Donald Trump's fans are going to come to Iowa and absolutely back him up. He's going to run all the fun rallies because he needs to win the presidency so that he doesn't go to jail. The only chance Donald Trump has is to become the president, replace the entire DOJ with people who like him. They will then drop all these charges. It's the only chance he has. He is going to be found guilty for these things because he did them. So he's going to win. He's going to put everything he has. Winning means he stays out of jail. Losing on January 15th means he goes to jail. That's all there is to it. 5th of March, Super Tuesday. When voters in 14 states, including California and Texas, go to the polls, the nominee will probably be unofficially confirmed at this point. So, the 5th of March, all these states vote, and by then, you can do the arithmetic and figure out who it's going to be. It's going to be Donald Trump, because he is a lunatic, and he has this basket of deplorables that will support him anytime he does something that makes them happy. Uh, Liberals are very angry that Donald Trump breaks the law. Donald Trump's fans like it when he makes liberals angry. And if breaking the law makes the liberals angry, then that's what they will support. If lowering taxes for the middle class made liberals angry, then that's what Trump would do, and that's what his fans would support. If pro-abortion stances were making the liberals angry, they're not, but if they were, that's what Trump would support, and that's what his fans would love. They just live on spite. There is nothing else in his fans' brains other than spite and revenge. Revenge. Donald Trump will go on tour for these dates in these states, in these 14 states, and in Iowa, promising and guaranteeing sweet, sweet, delicious revenge. Spite is a powerful tool. Yes, sir, it is, KBP. Revenge. It's the 2024 Revenge Tour. And it will absolutely, he will win these things. Then, March, April, May, 2 months later, we're going to have a criminal trial. 2 months later. Mr. Trump's criminal trial in classified documents case begins in Florida on the 20th of May. Jack Smith has suggested this would last 15 days. That's all it would take for an actual trial. Those 15 days will put us, they don't work on the weekends, so yeah, 2 days, 4 days, so it's more like 20 days, puts us into the middle of June. Mid-June, Donald Trump is going to be found guilty of these in this document case. Now, what happens then? I think it's summer, it's hot, he's been found guilty, and he's already won Super Tuesday. Riots. My money is on riots. Mid-June, riots. It's going to be riot season. Duck season, riot season, duck season, riot season. Riot season is coming. This coming June. So be prepared. Get your bug out bags. Get your water. Make sure your phones are charged. And I'm going to be here live streaming them. It'll be fun. So that's what's going to happen. They are going to absolutely flip their shit. Cars are going to get flipped. Buildings are going to be burned. People are going to scream. That basket of deplorables is going to be very, very, very angry. And they're going to do violent things. And then that's mid-June. 1 month of political turmoil, political chaos. I might stream every day because these motherfuckers are going to be all over the news, all over the road. Nobody's going to know what to do. They may not get into sentencing right away, but it might be a couple more weeks after that where they get sentencing. So that's closer to July. 15th through 18th of July is the Republican National Convention to formally crown the party's presidential nominee. It takes place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Republicans are going to panic. They are not going to know what to do. it's going to be chaos. Half of them are going to say Donald Trump has won all these other states and he needs to be the nominee. The other half are going to say he's been found guilty and might have to be on house arrest or go into a jail at some point, which means he cannot be the nominee, according to them. He probably could, literally, technically run for jail. There are very few hurdles stopping you from running. But him running from a jail cell will absolutely make him unelectable and unwinnable in the general. He won't carry that many states. Biden will walk off with it, for sure. But that will also cause lots and lots and lots of chaos. Lots of people being very angry, being very hot during the summer. They will cause more riots. I think if he's found guilty, then the RNC doesn't pick him, or they change the rules, or they update the rules, or something like that, and they undo the 14 states he won. That will cause more riots. That will cause more chaos. That will cause more destruction. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I hope you got a lot of riot cops, because you're going to need them. So, we are looking for next summer, the summer of riots. It'll be great. Except not, because they will be fighting over things that aren't real, things that are bad. They'll be fighting for the bad guy. All of this, again, is my basic prediction, but there is more wrinkles, there is more complications, there are more things to worry about, and that is Fulton County prosecutors prepare racketeering charges for Trump in inquiry. Okay, racketeering. What the damn hell does racketeering mean? Let's Google it. Racketeering definition. There we go. Racketeering. Dishonest or fraudulent business dealings. Racketeering ensnared the economy. 3 types of racketeering. Racketeering or organized crime is a type of criminal activity that includes extortion, fraud, trafficking in contraband goods or illegal drugs, and labor racketeering such as union corruption and bribery. So, organized crime. This is what I said that about Rico, baby. That's right, KVP. I said this about Trump many, many times, and for years. He is a mob boss. This is exactly the way he's been doing what he does. Donald Trump is a mob boss. It's what he does. It's what he's always been. He doesn't specifically tell his lawyers to do crimes. I think that was the thing that Michael Cohen always talked about. When they interviewed Michael Cohen, he said, Michael Cohen, a criminal lawyer for Trump, said that Trump didn't tell him to do illegal things. He just said, wouldn't it be nice if that guy dropped his lawsuit because he was scared? He would just kind of vaguely gesture towards things. This was some of the people in the documents case actually pointed this out as well. When Donald Trump thought he was going to get in trouble for those documents, those top secret documents, he looked at his lawyer and he did this. Hey, you take them out. He didn't say it. He didn't tell the guy. He just did this. That's racketeering. That's organized crime. That is fraud. And it's the way he's always operated. He has always operated as a racketeer. He is the racketeer. It's a superhero. It's a pretty lame superhero, but he's the kingpin. That's it. That's who we're gonna have to compare him to. I don't want to because the kingpin is cool and awesome. The kingpin from Marvel is a cool and awesome version of what Donald Trump actually is. So, where are we? These racketeering charges will not require special security clearance for the trial. So it will be much, much, much sooner. This could happen within the next couple of weeks. He can be arrested and indicted on racketeering charges very soon. And then that trial would happen within the next 2 or 3 months. The Fulton County District Attorney investigating Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election result in the state of Georgia has developed evidence to charge a sprawling racketeering indictment next month, according to two people briefed on the matter. Uh, let's see. An enterprise and pattern of racketeering activity that is predicated at least two qualifying crimes. Two more crimes for Donald Trump. Let's see. What are they? The specific evidence isn't clear yet because it hasn't been formally released, though the charges regard influencing witnesses that could include Trump's conversation with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, in which he asked Raffensperger to find 11,780 votes, the people said, and thereby implicate Trump. After the election, he needed 11,780 votes to win the state. He called them and told them, find the votes. He's telling them to cheat and lie and fraudulentize an election. The 2020 election was, there was fraud during the 2020 election, but it's from Trump, by Trump, for Trump. Always has been. There are some computer trespassing charges as well, but that's probably his lawyer. What's her name? Sidney Powell. There she is. Accessing the voting machines at the county's election office and copying sensitive voting system data. She goes into the voting machines for fraud. She takes that information, she changes it, she puts it up on the screen and talks about how illegal the election was. And she's wrong. She's a liar. This is racketeering. This is fraudulent voting. This is an attack on our democracy from Trump, by Trump, for Trump. This is why we can't let him win. This is why I scream about him. This is why I yell about him so much. Other people are like, he's just a thing. He's going to lose. This is important. He is harming our country in ways that nobody else ever has. There have been Republicans before, but they didn't do this. There will be Republicans in the future who will do things that I disagree with, but it's not doing this. This is so much far worse. This is so much worse than anything else any other Republican has done. The man is special in his ruining of our country. He is special. And that segues really well, I think, into the second part of the thing I wanted to talk about today. Why is he special? Why is Trump so much worse than everybody else? And I think it's because he is a fascist. He is absolutely a fascist. He may not have the cognitive ability to comprehend his own ideology. I know I'm a leftist. I can't think about my thoughts. Donald Trump doesn't think about his thoughts. He is not inwardly thoughtful. He does not contemplate the things that go on within his head the way I do and the way a lot of people do. But he is a fascist. And these are Umberto Eco's 14 points of fascism. I'm going to go down them. I have a pretty good, at least a little bit of talking or a little point about each one. I think he hits all of them. Absolutely, I think Donald Trump hits every one of these things. And I have a little link or something for each of them. So, if you're listening, if you're in chat, if you're paying attention, please shoot any links you want at me. And let me know if there's anything else that I'm missing or things to bring up or point out as well. So, Umberto Eco, very cool guy, in a 1995 essay. That's important. 1995. He didn't watch Trump all through 2020 and then write down the things Trump did and then call them fascism. No, he wrote this in 1995. Trump just happens to fit every single one of these categories. So, number one, the cult of tradition, characterized by cultural syncretism. I don't know what that is. Synchronicity, I suppose. Cultural syncretism. Even at the risk of internal contradiction, when all truth has already been revealed by tradition, no new learning can occur, only further interpretation and refinement. Cult of tradition. This is important, even at the risk of internal contradiction. Cult of tradition. Where did we see Trump do that? When he pushed for the 1776 Commission, or the 1776 Project, which itself was revisionist history. He got a whole handful of not historians, but conservative activists, politicians, and intellectuals, and included no professional experts in American history. So he put together people who aren't historians or experts in American history and had them come up with a patriotic education that is filled with revisionism, that is not real, it is not true, it is not correct. He doesn't care, but he will force all American children to learn it because he has, in fact, wants to create a cult of tradition, even at the risk of internal contradiction. So the 1776 project was filled with contradictions. It was filled with nonsense and not real things. Historians condemned the report, saying it was filled with errors and partisan politics, identifying factual inaccuracies, a lack of scholarship, and use of prior work without attribution. Lack of scholarship. He doesn't care what's real. He wants you to be a part of this tradition. Become part of the cult. Learn what we want you to know and then recite it verbatim without thought. So I'm going to mark that a big fat check. Yes, he hits number one, the cult of tradition. He absolutely hits it, without a doubt. Other examples, things like he doesn't want to rename Fort Bragg. He doesn't want to take down Confederate statues because he claims that the Confederate statues are part of our history. They're not. The Confederate statues weren't put up after the Civil War to understand the Civil War. They were put up in the 60s during the civil rights protests to chase black people away. But he doesn't care what the actual reality is. Reality. We put up this statue of General Lee because we do not want black people in our town. That is the reality. But what does he say? It's our history. It needs to be studied. It's so much older than you. It's part of the tradition. Don't tear it down. You're destroying America's traditions. Tradition ought to be measured against reason. Your traditions should be, you should use reason to look at your traditions and find out if they are reasonable. If they are not, you discard them. Not the other way around. Trump and most conservatives do it the other way around. They use tradition to determine what is reasonable, and they're doing it backward. Number two, the rejection of modernism, which views the rationalistic development of Western culture since the Enlightenment as a descent into depravity. Eco distinguishes this from a rejection of superficial technology advancement, as many fascist regimes cite their industrial potency as proof of their vitality of the system. Depravity, also known as degeneracy. That is one of their favorite words, isn't it? Degeneracy. It's degenerate. Any progress, any forward movement is degenerate. Depravity. We hate it. We don't like it. Gay people getting married. That is depravity. You are ruining the American family. Trans people being allowed to exist is depravity and degeneracy. Pride parades, depravity, degeneracy. We hate it. They reject modernism. And I think, do I have a thing for that? I don't know if I do. No, I don't. This is just basic vibes for the rejection of modernism. That's his goddamn slogan, Make America Great Again. It was great back in the day. It's not anymore. The modern version of America is not great. We need to go backward. We need to reject the modern version of America. Move backward. That is his damn slogan, Make America Great Again. I'm giving him a big fat check on number two. Number two, you are, in fact, doing this one. Number three, the cult of action for action's sake, which dictates the action is of value in itself and should be taken without intellectual reflection. This, says Eco, is connected with anti-intellectualism and irrationalism, and often manifests in attacks on modern culture and science. Goes right back into number two, but taking action for action's sake. You know what the best explanation of this is? Build the wall. Build the wall. take an action, build that wall, baby. But if you use intellect and reason and suggest to somebody, hey, they all come in through the ports of entry. We let the illegal immigrants in on work visas. Most of them show up legally, then overstay their work visa. The wall doesn't work. They don't care. My headset either turned off or died right in the middle of the rant. Very upsetting. If it turns off again, I'll have to plug it in. Build the wall. Do the action. Doesn't matter if the action's unimportant or invaluable or valuable. It's not. Building the wall doesn't work, but he pushes for it anyway. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. People come over on planes. They come in through the ports of entry. They come in legally and then overstay the things. The wall doesn't work. It's expensive and it doesn't do what you say it does. Trump and his fans do not care. Take the action for the action's sake. We built the wall. That proves that we're doing everything right. And they ignore the intellectualism and they don't care how irrational the wall is. Build the wall. I think some of this happened when he bragged about dropping the Moab, the mother of all bombs. He dropped that gigantic bomb early on in his political career. He bragged about it for a very long time, dropping the Moab. Um, but it didn't win a war. I mean, it killed like 90 people. Uh, Largest non-nuclear bomb in Afghanistan. Yeah, in 2017, he dropped this giant bomb that just didn't solve anything because we kept being in Afghanistan for like 5 more years, so it didn't accomplish a whole lot, if you ask me. But that was the action that needed to be taken. He needed to take an action. Drop the biggest bomb ever that isn't nuclear, and he's very proud of it. Doesn't matter what the results are, doesn't matter if it's important, it just matters that he took the action for action's sake. That's what matters. So I'm going to give him a big check on number 3 as well. Check. Number 3 in case you're keeping score. Number 4, disagreement is treason. Fascism devalues intellectual discourse and critical reasoning as barriers to action, as well as out of fear that such analysis will expose the contradictions embodied within the that's a tough word, syncretistic faith. Now, disagreement is treason, according to the fascist. Here is Donald Trump. They were like, death and un-American. Somebody said treasonous. Yay. I mean, yeah, I guess why not? Can we call that treason? Why not? I mean, they certainly didn't seem to love our country that much. Why did he say these people were treasonous? They didn't clap for him at the State of the Union. Donald Trump thinks not clapping for him is treasonous. I know this guy's a shithead, but not clapping for him is treasonous. Disagreeing with Donald Trump is treasonous. You are anti-American if you disagree with him, if you do not think he is correct, if you do not support every single thing he's ever said, he thinks you're treasonous. What isn't treasonous is attacking the Capitol based on lies that Donald Trump told you. That's not treasonous. That's not bad. That's a good thing in his opinion. Uh, I'm giving him a check on this one too. Disagreement is treason. He absolutely believes that, and anybody who disagrees with him, he calls him a Marxist, radical, fascist. You can't be both, but he will do it anyway. What's next? Number 5, fear of difference, which fascism seeks to exploit and exacerbate, often in the form of racism or an appeal against foreigners and immigrants. I'm just going to mark that as a check already, but we've got a wonderful tweet here from Donald Trump. I'm happy to inform all of the people living in the suburban lifestyle dream that you will no longer be bothered or financially hurt by having low-income housing built in your neighborhood. Your housing prices will go up based on the market, and crime will go down. I have rescinded the Obama-Biden AFFH rule. Enjoy. So, suburban lifestyle is being harmed by other people coming into the neighborhood. The other people, you know, people, because they're different. Crime will go down. Who do you think he's talking about there? Brown people. That's who he's talking about. You live in the suburban lifestyle, you will no longer have to see brown people, according to Donald Trump. And that is a good thing, according to him. He has built so much about, uh, he talks about immigrants flooding over the border. The caravan, the immigrant caravan that was going to come and destroy our world, a caravan. It was nothing. Nothing. But it didn't matter because that was at the time the caravan was coming during the off-season elections. What are those called? Not off-season. They're midterms. They were coming during the midterms, and he needed to scare the people to vote Republican. Be afraid of those people that are different. That is what he wants. If you are different, he wants you to be afraid. He wants Republican voters to be afraid of things that are different. All day, every day. The general xenophobia from this guy is massive. All day, every day. He gets 2 check marks on 5. That's what I'm going to do. Number 6, appeal to the frustrated middle class, fearing economic pressure from the demands and aspirations of lower social groups. He does this all day long. He says to the middle class, I am the one that can save you. Only I can help you. Only I can relieve you of these problems. I will not allow that lower class, that lower social group of immigrants to come in and take your job. They took our jobs, baby. They took our jobs. And he is absolutely appealing to that, blaming every economic problem, not on the 1%, not on the top of the people, not on the people who are in charge of the economy. No, no, no. The billionaires who are in charge of the economy are not to be blamed. It's those poor people who have no power and no authority. Those are the ones you need to be afraid of because they have brown skin. Fucking guy. All right. Number 6 gets a check on that one. Number 7, obsession with a plot. Do I even have to say anything? Obsession with a plot and the hyping up of the enemy threat. This often combines with the appeal to xenophobia and a fear of disloyalty and sabotage in the marginalized groups living within society. Donald Trump is more plot than man at this point. Let me think. What are all the evil plots that have been against him? The FBI was out to get him. The Dems are changing the rules and breaking the laws to get him. The IRS is out to get him. The 2020 election was irregular, and it was irregular, but it was because of him. But he claims that it was the Democrats. Democrat judges can't judge him because they were appointed by Bill Clinton, so clearly they can't judge him. There's a plot there. Let's see, Hillary Clinton had 6 million illegal immigrants vote for her. Nonsense. He made it up. He put an entire committee together to find all those 6 million people that voted illegally and irregularly. There were none. 0. Didn't matter. He needs you to be obsessed with the plot. Right now, he's under investigation. He's going to trial. He's been indicted, and he just keeps screaming about the plot. It's the plot. It's the deep state. They're coming to get me. Motherfucker, he gets 2 check marks on this one, too. It's 20 check marks, but he is definitely obsessed with plot. Number 8, fascist societies rhetorically cast their enemies as at the same time too strong and too weak. On the one hand, fascists play up the power of the certain disfavored elites to encourage their followers a sense of grievance and humiliation. On the other hand, fascist leaders point to the decadence of those elites as proof of their ultimate feebleness in the face of overwhelming popular will. The enemy is too strong and too weak at the same time. He does this pretty often. Here is a tweet. Joe Biden and the radical left want to abolish police, abolish ICE, abolish bail, abolish suburbs, abolish the Second Amendment, abolish the American way of life. No one will be safe in Joe Biden's America. This is an amazing power. Good God. He said that Joe Biden can and will do all of these things. but he can't. But he also talks about how weak, soft, and pathetic Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is the uber boss who can absolutely defeat the entire country, but is too weak to defeat the entire country. The BLM protesters were weak, pathetic, sad little things, but also Marxist super Antifa soldiers. Antifa super soldiers that are too weak to get up off the couch, that are too pathetic and feeble to accomplish anything. It's He gets a check on that one too. In case you're keeping score, that's a lot of checks. Number 9, pacifism is trafficking with the enemy because life is a permanent warfare. There must always be an enemy to fight. Both fascist Germany under Hitler and Italy under Mussolini worked first to organize and clean up their respective countries and then build war machines that they later intended and did use. This principle leads to a fundamental contradiction with fascism, the incompatibility of the ultimate triumph with perpetual war. I think he works with this one too. Pacifism is trafficking with the enemy. So we got a little tweet here. Being nice to Rocket Man hasn't worked in 25 years. Why would it work now? Clinton failed, Bush failed, and Obama failed. I won't fail. This one he's discussing North Korea and the pacifism that we have shown towards them. We haven't gone in and stomped out North Korea, mostly as a favor to China. The reason we haven't done that. So the pacifism of America not stomping out a fake military. I mean, North Korea is not a real military. They are piss ants. They are literally nothing. But the fact that we haven't gone and stomped on them with our giant American might means that we are pacifists and we are trafficking with the enemy. We need permanent warfare. I think this explains his internal logic as well. We are at war, a culture war, according to him, against the woke, against the Marxists and the fascists and the pacifists and the feminists and all of these things that he wants to go to war with. He wants to be at war with all of these things and all of these people because that is what matters to him, because he is, again, a fascist. So I'm going to give him a check on that one too. Number 10, contempt for the weak, which is uncomfortably married to the chauvinistic popular elitism in which every member of society is superior to outsiders by virtue of belonging to the in-group. He definitely does this. Americans are better than everyone else. Everything else is a shithole country. And the people who are insiders within America, those who believe in him and trust him and do what he says, those are virtuous people. Anybody else who doesn't do what he does, doesn't do what he says, and doesn't agree with him are not virtuous people. They are the outsiders. Contempt for the weak. So yeah, he does not have, is contempt for the weak. So here is, most of you are weak. Trump rails at the nation's governors, urges crackdown on violence. So during the BLM protests, he wanted violence against the protesters. They are the weak. Those people that were at the BLM protests were the weak, the bottom, the downtrodden. But he hates them. He does not like them. He does not want them. Most of you are weak. He's speaking to the governors at this point. You have to arrest people. Trump said that the radicals and anarchists are behind the unrest, and he urged governors to crack down on them. You have to dominate, he said, according to audio in the meeting obtained. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. They're going to run over you and look like a bunch of jerks. You have to dominate. He does not care about the weak. He does not care about the people on the bottom. He is a fascist. I'll give him a check on number 10. Number 11, everyone is educated to be a hero. We already talked about his education idea, but which leads to the embrace of the cult of death. And the fascist hero is impatient to die. In his impatience, he is more frequently sending other people to their death. So everybody needs to be a hero. Educate the children of the country to be a hero. Here we are. I think I read something interesting about him here. Our children should be taught to love their country, honor our history, and respect our great American flag. The patriots who built our country were not villains, they were heroes whose courageous deeds improved the earth beyond measure. Every virtue is obscured, every motive is twisted, every fact is distorted by the left, and every flaw is magnified until the history is purged from the record and disfigured beyond all recognition. He's upset about reality. This is what he thinks. If you talk shit about uh, Christopher Columbus, he was taught Christopher Columbus is a hero. Facts come out in the 90s describing how Christopher Columbus probably wasn't a hero. Then we start looking into the history. Columbus Day was invented to make Italian people more acceptable. Very strange. Let's abandon Columbus Day. He's upset by this. He does not like this. He does not. Ex- uh, he's not excited by people pointing out that George Washington, upon here, owned slaves. He doesn't like that. He thinks you are being distorting the facts. And every flaw is magnified. When I suggest that George Washington owned slaves, he is saying that I am magnifying a flaw until history is purged and the record is disfigured by all recognition. He doesn't care about facts. He doesn't care about reality. He doesn't care about the actual history. The only thing that matters is that the children are taught to be heroes for his ideology. Gets a check on that one too. And they all, and those heroes, those children those that are taught to be heroes, have to fight in a war, in an unending war against the secularists, the Marxists, the fascists, the communists, the feminists, the wokenisms. They must be fought against, according to him. The man is a fascist. What do we got next? Machismo. Machismo. Very fun, which supplements the difficult work of permanent war and heroism into a sexual sphere. Fascists thus hold both disdain for women and intolerance and condemnation of non-standard sexual habits, from chastity to homosexuality. Machismo. Here we have a tweet where he's insulting someone else's wife, the way someone else's wife looks. This is Ted Cruz's wife. He thinks she's ugly, but he thinks his wife, is the model, is gorgeous, and that's why he's better than Ted Cruz, because his wife is prettier. He's definitely getting a check for machismo, and he discusses it pretty often. He just grab him by the pussy. He rebuilt the military, and then he put a trans ban. He banned trans people from the military. He sends the military out on these missions. He really tries his ass off to seem manly and tough and filled with machismo and testosterone. Yet he had bone spurs. Bone spurs. So he couldn't be drafted in the past. He's a fake man. That's a check on number 12. Number 13, selective populism definitely does that. The people, conceived monolithically, have a common will, distinct from the superior to the viewpoint of any individual. As no mass of people can ever be truly unanimous, the leader holds himself out as the interpreter of the popular will, though truly he alone dictates it. Fascists use this concept to delegitimize democratic institutions and accuse of no longer representing the voice of the people. He does this every day. Every day he does this one. That Senate that is elected by the people no longer represents the voice of the people. That's what he says. It's not true. When he loses a legitimate election, he screams about the voice of the people being silenced. He is a liar. He is a selective populist. When he loses, it's not his fault. The game was rigged, and the people who wanted to vote for him didn't get to. And when Hillary Clinton gets more votes than him, people come up with excuses to why it wasn't legitimate votes. Hillary Clinton got 4 million more votes than he did, and she should have won. But he has to lie about the 6 million illegal people that voted for her, which means he wins. Selective populism. Accuse the institutions that exist that they aren't actually doing their jobs. So he gets a check on that one. 14, Newspeak. This is from 1984. Fascism employs and promotes an impoverished vocabulary in order to limit critical reasoning. He does this. He uses very short sentences with very common and plain words so that his audience doesn't feel like they're being talked down to. Uh, he uses when speaking, he likes to repeat things, uttering the same short sentence or phrase 2 or 3 times in the same breath, presumably for emphasis. And his word choices won't be adding to anyone's vocabulary. He uses the word very, very often, an example, and very, very, very frequently too. And then, not only that, he starts removing words from his policies. When he was elected, when he was in charge, he removed words that the agencies could use. The forbidden terms were vulnerable, entitlement, diversity, transgender, fetus, evidence-based, and science-based. He didn't let the CDC use these words because he wants to control the brains of the people that follow him. He wants to use newspeak to control people. Here we go from doublespeak to alternative facts, how Trump made a mess of the language. Uh, he uses doublespeak. Things like alternative facts, I think was pretty cool. When what's her name mentioned alternative facts, he just uses alternative facts. Then right here he says he called himself the #1 environmental president since Teddy Roosevelt. That's just a head-scratching boast. It undermines the word environmental. Uh, Trump, after all, pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accords and worked to prop up the fossil fuel industry. He has made he cuts regulation that makes the environment worse. He cuts regulation that lets uh, companies uh, poison our rivers and air, and then he calls himself environmental. He does doublespeak. So that's check there. So that is all 14 points of fascism, and he catches every single one of them. This man, Umberto Eco, again, remember at the beginning, he wrote this in 1995. Donald Trump fits all of them. Some of them 2 or 3 times. Some of them more than checks. I'd give him on a 14-point fascist scale. I'd give Trump 17 points because he hits all of them. Donald Trump, whether he knows it or not, is a fascist. The people who follow him are supporting a fascist. There's no way around it. That's what it's come down to. This isn't. I do very much dislike him, and I do complain about him a lot. Thomas yells at me all the time. Why are you always on Trump? Why are you always bugging about Trump? Why are you freaking out about Trump? Why are you always bringing it back to him? Because he is the biggest threat our country has. Bigger than nuclear war, bigger than the economy, bigger than any of the other issues we have. Our problem is Donald Trump and his basket of deplorables. You don't have to like Hillary Clinton, but the basket of deplorables was the most true thing that she's ever said in her entire life. He has a basket full of deplorables who will support him no matter what. And that is a problem. Let's see. Basket of deplorables is a phrase from the 2016 presidential election campaign speech delivered by Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. She used the phrase to describe half of the supporters of her opponent, Donald Trump, saying they're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. The next day, she expressed regret for saying half, should have been all, while insisting that Trump had deplorably amplified hateful views and voices. This is some of the most true. This is the truest thing she's ever said. When he does fascism, and I complain about it, and I get mad about it, and I yell about it on the internet or in uh, my friend circles, the conservatives love that. They love it. They want the people on the left to be angry so that they will be angry. It doesn't matter who else gets hurt. It doesn't matter to them who gets damaged by this process as long as it hurts the left. And that is why it makes him the most dangerous, is that he's got a handful of fans. He's got that basket of deplorables that will harm the left, even if it harms the entire country. I really expected this to go longer with Thomas arguing with me and yelling at me about all the things that I brought up. So it went a little bit quickly, but that is my ideas and what's going on. How about we watch a little Trump video and see if he. This one I picked out somewhat at random. He's on Fox News from 3 days ago, and it's 17 minutes long. Well, I'll watch it, see if I can pick out any more of these things, any more of these 14 points in a 17-minute video. Let's double check that it actually plays properly.
Country, whether it's the borders or the elections or kinds of things like this, where the DOJ has become a weapon for the Democrats,
plot,
an absolute weapon. And it seems that every time my polls, we're leading by a lot, and we're leading by a lot in a place called Iowa, a lot.
Plots.
And
middle class that live in Iowa.
Republicans, but we're leading against Biden by a tremendous amount. They haven't seen anything like it, and they feel, I guess, they want to try and demean and diminish and frighten people, but they don't frighten us because we're going to make America great again. That's all there is. We're going to make our country.
Rejecting modernism, did it again.
Our country, Sean, is a mess. You know it better than anybody. I mean, frankly, your reporting is incredible.
I'll be honest. I have never been more fearful of the state of this country than I am right now.
Yeah.
Fearful
He's so
about
full
the
of shit.
economy, foreign policy, our future, our kids, our grandkids.
The world is better today than it ever has been. These people are just doing the fear thing. Where was it? It was fear of difference. Fake populism right there. Fake populism. The world is better today than it ever has been. More people have rights. More people have the ability to live a good life. They don't like it. Because some of those people are brown or trans or gay. So they don't like it. Drive us backward. Go backward. Put the car in R. We are unhappy with this.
I've never been this way.
When you look at Biden with these leaders, and they're at the top of their game, and they're looking at each other like they don't even believe what's happening, our country is no longer respected. Think of it. 3 years ago, energy independent, powerful military that was totally...
That was never true. None of these things are true. God damn.
The president announced 3 days ago, which he should never have said, probably classified information, that we have no ammunition. Now, what do you think, China...
When the fuck did anybody say that? We don't have any ammo. The country's all out. We done use up all our ammo. We ain't got none. That's insane. None of that happened. None of that is real. But it doesn't matter to the people sitting behind him. They do not care.
It says when they hear we have no ammunition. No, it's a very, very sad thing. If you look at the worst border in history, we had the best border in history. We had 3 years...
We had the best border in history. Now we've got the worst border in history. It's some of that newspeak for him again. He's dumbing down the language.
The best border we've ever had. We built hundreds of miles of wall. We got Mexico free of charge. You know, they say about Mexico. Mexico gave us billions of dollars worth of soldiers for years, 28,000 soldiers guarding our border. We had the best numbers we've ever had. Today we have, I think, the worst numbers in the world, because I don't think there's...
Worst numbers in the world. Best numbers in the world. Worst numbers in the world. Best numbers when I'm in charge. Worst numbers when Biden's in charge.
There's any country in the world that would stand for what's happening to us, with millions of people flowing in from, by the way, mental institutions, insane asylums. They don't like me using those names, insane asylums. But we have very bad, very sick people, very ill people coming into our country, prisons and jails all over the world. And it's not the 4 countries that we sort of consider neighbors. It's all over. Last week, we had 129 countries, representatives of people that came into our country illegally. And we're losing our country.
Good. Immigration is good for our country. Fuck this guy.
And we're losing the spirit of our country. But I will tell you, Make America Great Again and MAGA and America First and all of these things that we talk about, there's never been more spirit. Look at this crowd. There's never been more spirit than we have right now. 2024.
That is a very old white crowd. I'm just saying. Man. They just don't like brown people. Ooh, we got some empty seats up here. Couldn't even fill up the tiny little Sean Hannity auditorium.
2024 is the most important election that we've ever had. You know,
I agree with that, but it's only important because he's a fascist and we need him to not win.
I used to say it with 2016, and I meant it 100%. but we're going into almost a communistic state, and I think maybe we're even there. When
Oh, I wish that were true. It's not, but I wish it were.
you look at what they're doing with, you could call it fascist, you could call it Marxist.
You can't be fascist and communist. You can't. They're opposites. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Culture tradition. They are, I think the culture tradition. Yeah, it mentioned uh, even at the risk of internal contradiction, he's being internally contradictory. Doesn't matter. He still likes it.
You could call it communist. What they're doing, like with the Department of Justice, they've totally weaponized it. It's weaponized.
Plot.
We've never had this
Plot.
before. It's not only me. Catholics, you see what's happening? Parents at school boards, they're being
Obsession with the plot.
harassed by the Justice Department,
So I gave him
by
2
the
check
FBI.
marks.
Nobody's ever seen what's happening right now. And we have a guy, the head of this country. It's probably not him. It's people around him. They have people that are vicious and smart and have horrible ideas for our country. So
He's more plot than man at this point. He is more plot than man.
it's really the people, in my opinion, because I don't think this guy can put together 2 sentences. I watched him last night. He's almost...
Have you heard of solar program?
Oh,
Wait,
stupid
why can't I say
commercials.
solar program?
He's almost incapable of talking. And, you know, we have...
I'm not sure he knows today's Tuesday, sir.
Well, we have a problem. We have the potential of a war beyond the war with Russia and Ukraine, and that would have never happened before. By the way...
Oh, it never would have happened. He never gives a plan on this. He never gives a plan. All he does is say, it wouldn't have happened. I would make him make a deal. I'd make a deal. I'd force him to make a deal. I'd force him to make a deal. What specifics? What are you going to do with the Donbass region? What are you going to do with the people that live there? What are you going to do with the soldiers there? Where are you going to draw the lines? What about supplies coming in? What about Crimea? What about the bridges that have been blown up? Who gets Crimea? What do we do about that? What about the grain exports? There are 1,000 diplomacy things that need to be straightened out between Ukraine, Russia, and the UN. Make a deal is toddler speak. It is so unbelievably stupid and base-brained. Like, he doesn't even comprehend that there are difficult situations between these 2 countries. He doesn't know what they are. It doesn't matter. He's not curious about what's going on over there. He has only one plan. Make a deal. Make a deal. Nothing. He has nothing. The man is empty. He has nothing.
If I were president, that would have never happened. If I were president, Ukraine and Russia...
I want to get to that.
How?
You know,
Just wouldn't?
I came here
How?
today and
Tell me how.
I watched the 2 hours with Mark Levin. I watched your hour with Tucker. I watched your hour with Brett Baer. You did 2 hours with me. I watched you on Maria. I watched your interviews, and on fake news CNN. I watched that too.
Well, that was a good one. That was a good one. They had a town hall.
That was a Trump
They
classic.
ended up firing the head of CNN, and they got the highest ratings in 11 years, and they fired. It's supposed to be the opposite.
By the way, you might want to start a show, and at the end of every show, say to somebody, "You're fired." That would work, right?
You're fired.
All right, but I wanted to talk about the problems and the solutions. In other words, what are the
Problem with the stream, Kyle? You still there? We're good? Okay. Looked funny to me too. Where are you watching it on Kick or are you watching it on YouTube? Kick. Okay. It went down, but then it came back up. Maybe I'm watching copyright content. I don't think so. I thought you could watch Fox News. I'll start it again, and if it goes down, let me know. Oh, no, it went down again. Right? Does it look like there's nothing on the screen? Maybe it's a copyright thing, maybe it's not. It was the video for sure. Yeah. So I'm still here. I'm looking at it. You don't have to look at his face. You think it was the video for sure? Okay. Regardless, I can stop this video. Uh, we all get the point. The man has not changed. He is doing the same thing that he has always done. And that is fascism. We watched him for 5 damn minutes, and he got 6 of the points on this list. Yeah, the internet's hard. Streaming is difficult. Copyright's a nightmare. But that's okay. That's what I signed up for. We're good. So that is my whole thing today. I sped through all of it in just an hour, thinking that it would take much longer because my compatriot, Mr. Thomas, was going to argue with some of the points or bring them up in a different situation or explain them away as not being fascist. But that's okay. I'm sure he will watch the video that I produce and then yell at me for all of them. Maybe next week, maybe sometime later. So I'm kind of all done with the news and all the things that I had prepared for today. Um, is there anything else I should talk about? I don't know. Any other news going on? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out, listening. Any other things that I should talk about? Any other things I should cover? Let me know. I'll probably do some more streams on Monday night, and then Wednesday night. I'll try and do kick streams and stuff like that. Maybe play some games. Maybe talk about Animu and maybe UFOs. I think I've got one UFO expert that wants to talk to me about it, so I might try and squeeze that in on Monday night or Wednesday night. I'm not sure. And I have another video coming out, probably 2 more. I'll turn this one into one good video, and then I have one more from last week that I can pump out as well. So if you're watching, please press all the buttons, likes, subscribes, the follows, the tweets, all the fun stuff. And I appreciate anybody who's paying attention and watching. Thanks, KBP, and I am all done for today. This goes a lot faster without anybody to argue with. Have a good day and goodbye.